A tricky experiment. Could antimatter fall upward instead of downward? Scientists at CERN plan to drop antimatter into a vacuum chamber to see if gravity affects antimatter the same way it affects matter. According to New Atlas, antimatter is identical to matter in every way, except that it has a negative charge. If matter and antimatter touch and interact with one another, they cancel each other out and annihilate each other. In the first experiment, scientists plan to conduct an alpha-G experiment in which the researchers will trap anti-hydrogen atoms in a vertical vacuum chamber and test to see what effect gravity has on the atoms. In the second experiment, called a G-bar, anti-hydrogen atoms generated from antiprotons will be subjected to a fall of 20 centimeters to see what effect gravity has on them. Scientists predict that antimatter should fall down like regular matter, but there is a 1 in a million chance that it could fall up instead. Stay tuned for more science stories. NASA makes a discovery that could reveal something new about Mars's past. For the first time in 4 decades, NASA has found oxygen in Mars's atmosphere. But hold up, it's probably not the oxygen you're thinking of. Atomic oxygen in Mars's atmosphere was detected by a specialized 747 jetliner that flew between 37,000 feet to 45,000 feet above sea level in Earth's atmosphere. From our atmosphere, the plane measured the amount of atomic oxygen on Mars by using a spectrometer to observe far-infrared waves on the planet. The oxygen atoms were found in one of the upper layers of Mars's atmosphere, known as the mesosphere. Atomic oxygen refers to a single oxygen atom and is different from the oxygen in Earth's atmosphere, which involves 2 oxygen atoms. Atomic oxygen in Mars's atmosphere fits with scientists' belief that Mars was once warm and wet, with a thicker atmosphere capable of sustaining water and even life. But over time, solar winds are said to have stripped away Mars's atmosphere, causing the planet to become cold and barren. Studying the atomic oxygen in Mars's atmosphere will help scientists understand how and why the life-sustaining gases that once covered Mars billions of years ago has disappeared. Mission complete. A team of scientists have finally returned to civilization after completing a NASA-funded isolation experiment to simulate life on Mars. The 6-person High Seas Mission 5 crew lived in a dome on the Mars-like landscape of Hawaii's Mauna Loa volcano for 8 months. The dome was equipped with a kitchen, bathroom, common area, and 6 individual bedrooms. Though not confined to the inside, the crew were required to don spacesuits whenever they went outside. While in the habitat, the crew conducted scientific research, equipment testing, and resource tracking. They also had to learn to prepare food using dehydrated and shelf-stable ingredients. Communication with the outside were subject to a delay of 20 minutes, the same amount of time it takes for signals to reach Mars from Earth. To better understand the psychological impacts of a long-term space mission, they were fitted with sensors that gauged their moods and monitored interactions with other members. The mission is the 5th in a series of 6 studies designed to help NASA select crews that can do well on an expedition to the Red Planet. The 6th and final High Seas mission will also last for 8 months and is slated to begin in January of 2018.
NASA may have found a way to bring water back to Mars. NASA's scientists think it's possible to restore Mars's oceans by creating an artificial magnetic field that sits in front of the planet. Scientists say it is possible to place an inflatable structure that generates a magnetic dipole field at the Mars L1 Lagrange point. This would form an artificial magnetic shield to protect the planet from solar wind and radiation. Under this protection, the Martian atmosphere could become thick enough to melt carbon dioxide ice at the northern pole. In time, the atmosphere could spark a greenhouse gas effect that could restore some of Mars's oceans. Scientists said if the Martian atmosphere could be greatly enhanced over the next few decades, it would help pave the way for colonization on Mars.
Scientists may have discovered water at Mars' equator. If you're looking for another reason to move to Mars, here you go. After re-examining old satellite data from 2002 to 2009 by Mars Odyssey's neutron spectrometer, scientists may have discovered ice around Mars' equator. The neutron spectrometer can't directly detect water, but by measuring neutrons, it can detect hydrogen signature, which could mark the presence of water or other hydrogen-bearing substances. Researchers discovered an unexpected amount of hydrogen around the equator by reducing the blurred or noise in Odyssey's data using image reconstruction techniques used for other spacecraft and for medicine. This improved the spatial resolution of the images to 180 miles from the previous resolution of 320 miles. Having water on Mars could mean that future human missions wouldn't need to bring water with them for drinking, cooling equipment, or watering plants, thus reducing the number of resources needed for transport. Scientists say more research needs to be done and more evidence collected to determine if the signature is actually from water ice.